Welcome back. It is the quarantine stream, day 19.
Hi, guys.
I'm out of toilet paper. I'm tired of wiping with leaves. Anyway, welcome everybody. Comic Book Bob here. I'm joined by Mr. George Peter Gatsis. Say hi, George.
Hi, George.
Oh, God. Anyway, Tom, the immortal one coming. Yeah, I know. Anyway, Finance Frank, Hollywood Frank. What's up, Frank?
Hello, hello.
And Mr. Dillard. What?
Get yourself a bidet.
Shut up. Shooting water up my butthole. All right. And Mr. On that note, talking about, and speaking of water up buttholes, John Dillard in Dillard Draws, and Dillard is drawing.
It's what I usually do, yeah.
Yeah, it was what I do. Is what I do. Anyway,
his name is what he does.
Arthur Brown, the Uncanny Kodiak says, "Hail, John Dillard! Hail to you, Mr. Kodiak." As a matter of fact, let me copy this. As always, dropping the link into the chat for anybody that wants to come in and talk with us today. And anyway, so one of the things we're going to talk about today, so we're going to talk about, obviously the comic apocalypse is upon us. Everybody's freaking out. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria. And we've all talked about the bad things. We saw this industry collapse coming from years ago. Coronavirus just sped things up. But doom. But we were also talking about some possibilities of something good that could come out of this thing.
What good could possibly come out of this?
Well, we're going to talk about that. Also, I've got a couple comic unboxings to do. I'll do that later on in the stream. And Tom's going to give us his review of the first edition of Guy, because he's too damn lazy to read the whole damn book.
Hey, told you I'm dyslexic. It's going to take a while.
Yeah. Did you change your poster, or is it the same one? No, it's the same one.
That's the same one.
The lighting is much better this week, by the way.
Yes.
Anyway, guys, as it says in the scrolling underneath me here, because I am I'm a shill. I don't care. I have no dignity. Please like and subscribe. Share it out on social media. Help a brother out. Help a brother out. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this out myself. But so I don't know how if you guys have been keeping up on the all the news. The things have been coming out. Diamond is basically self-destructing, and obviously because they had a monopoly on things, Marvel and DC were basically scrambling to catch up, trying to figure out what they were going to do, and it's not good. It doesn't look good. We've seen some of the things that they're trying to do to adjust to survive what's going. Unfortunately, the comic book store owners are the ones who are going to take the brunt of this thing.
Yep.
And yeah, it's generally pretty bad news for the comic book industry on a whole. However, after a little bit of discussion, there were some people, myself included, who thought that there are some positives that could come out of this thing. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. So before we do that, though, I want to get your guys' take on the situation. Have you guys been keeping up with the press releases from Marvel and DC and Dynamite and basically the current status of things?
Mm-mm. Nope.
That's what you're here for.
Why do I even try?
You're where I get my news.
You see, that's why I didn't ask you any things in the hangout beforehand, because I wanted to get the news and react to it live.
Oh my God!
When you said it.
So basically, when this thing first went down, Marvel and DC pretty much were like, we're just going to conduct business as usual.
How are they going to get their stuff out if?
Well, that was
the distributor is
Dynamite. Well, that was right. That was before Dynamite came out and dropped the bombshell on everybody. Then Dynamite came out and said,
Dynamite?
Yeah. Well, not Dynamite.
Diamond.
Diamond. Sorry, I'm thinking
Diamond.
I've got Dynamite on the brain because of the whole Anna thing. No, well, I did watch AW Dynamite the other night. But that's not it. But Diamond then came out and said that they were ceasing distribution, and they were not. And more than that, they came out and said, "Yeah, we're not going to pay anybody." So pretty much everybody was screwed. So all the solicitations that were made by stores, the stores were not going to get their product. All of the distributors who, all the comic book companies who sent the product, they weren't going to get paid. And then Diamond came out and made a really bold statement and basically told everybody, here's how we're going to pay you going forward, and we're not going to pay you all at once. And at that point, all the comic book companies and basically went, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're gonna try and find something else. So,
is there a way that you can kind of simplify what they told them, or is that secret?
Well, let me go ahead and see if I can pull this up here because I wasn't expecting to do that. But give me a second. Let's see about reading the comics. Anyway, what's happened now is Marvel and DC are both looking into other forms of distribution other than Diamond. So what's happened? This situation. It highlighted the fact that the industry was already in pretty severe dire straits because they couldn't even survive 2 weeks into this thing. And as it stands right now, Diamond has said that they will not be making any distribution. They won't be taking any orders until August at the earliest, which means there won't be any product in stores until September, perhaps even October. At the like September, like the end of September at the earliest. October is more likely. So this is basically forcing Marvel and DC to change their distribution model. This model that's been in place for many, many years, and people have asked for years why Marvel and DC, why they put up with Diamond, because Diamond has made a lot of crazy demands of them. Diamond is they have a monopoly on the entire thing. But as time has gone on and other forms of distribution are possible, especially for DC, because DC is owned by Time Warner, and they have the distribution. They have the distribution network for Time Magazine. So why wouldn't they just say, well, screw you guys.
Just ship them out that avenue.
Yeah, you're asking us for too much. We'll go over here. And what has come out from various sources, including some people from inside Marvel DC, is that there were background deals going on with Diamond, which is the reason why they held on to that model. Plus, it's a model that they knew and they understood. The whole idea of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
were any names named in these background dealings?
No, they were just alluded to. But they were basically looking at why it took so long, why it took something like this to get Marvel and DC to start changing their methods for the future, when it's very clear that the deal with Diamond was not in their favor.
Diamond is altering the deal.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
Diamond basically came out and said, this is how we're going to handle things. All right, I got it up right here. So give me a second. I will share this out with you guys.
And then Diamond said, "Pray I don't alter it further."
But
what a bunch of punks! They got punked by a distributor.
Well, no, the distributor tried to punk them, and they said, "Yeah, go screw yourselves." All right, so Diamond Comics announces they will hold payments to vendors amid coronavirus pandemic. Diamond Comics recently announced that they would be putting payments to their vendors on hold amid the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. The announcement comes after Diamond Comics, your founder and chairman and CEO of Geppi Family Enterprises, Steve Geppi, announced that they would be shutting down comic book distribution for the foreseeable future. In an email to vendors obtained by Newsarama, President Stan Heidman explains the reason for their putting the payments on hold is due to cash flow problems resulting from the fact that their customers are no longer paying them. Basically, they're not getting money from the stores because the stores are like, well, if we can't, if we're not going to get product, we're not going to pay for it. And Diamond is now saying, well, if you're not going to pay for it, we're not going to pay, Marvel and other companies for the stuff they did. And says, while the full impact of this epidemic is still unknown, one thing is certain: supply chain disruptions have cash flow implications across the extended industry that can't be underestimated. While we will work to understand the current landscape, the unfortunate truth is that we are no longer receiving consistent payments from our customers. As the situation continues to evolve, we are committed to building out a plan for payment, and we'll have more information for later this week. And there was I'll have to find the other one, but they basically came out and said after this that here's how we're going to approach this. We're going to the money that we owe you, we're going to pay you 25% of it. And then 6 months down the road, we're going to pay you another 25%. They're basically Diamond is trying to dictate terms to Marvel and DC about how they're going to pay them. And Marvel, like Kodiak said, Marvel got marveled by Diamond. Actually, it was more like Diamond got marveled by Marvel. Basically, the Marvel and DC basically told Diamond.
And so Diamond is throwing the blame on the comic store owners.
Yeah.
Yes, that's basically what happened. They said we're not getting the comic stores aren't paying us, so we're not going to pay you. And when they do start paying us, we're not going to pay you back all at once. We're not going to give you what we owe you. We're going to give you basically. It's like somebody getting a loan from the bank and then telling the bank, okay, so here's how I'm going to pay you back. And it was like, and basically, DC and Marvel went, no, that's not how that works. So now Marvel and DC are looking at alternative distribution methods, which
and I'm assuming they're going to be suing Diamond as well.
Well, nobody has said anything about that so far. After that, like I said, this came out, and then everybody kind of just went mum. DC laid out a plan to help its retailers. This was before that, and then DC. The announcement that came out from DC most recently was that Todd's here. What's up, Todd?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right, man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Tersh said, comics, are those things still around? Not for very long, apparently. But DC has now said they're looking into alternative forms, and one of the forms that they're looking into is digital. I don't know. We all know how people feel about digital. Some people like it. Some people don't like it. I personally don't like it. I would rather have the physical book in my hand. But I do think, and this is one of the things that we'll talk about, one of the ideas going forward, is I think digital is something that they could embrace for at least a portion of their books. And the idea that I'm thinking that they need to do is they need to go back to comics being a disposable form of entertainment. That's what comics used to be, and that's why comics got so popular, because and then that's why they were cheap to make. You pick it up, you read it, and you throw it away. That was the way comics were meant to be consumed. It wasn't until the mid 70s, the 80s, 90s when they became collectible things. They became a commodity that people wanted to collect. Mm-hmm. But right now, and with Marvel and DC basically saying they're looking into alternative forms of distribution, and going so far as to saying that they are looking at creating their own distribution, their own distribution companies, something that would be more like an in-house thing. This pretty much cuts Diamond's throat.
Okay, but how realistic is that threat? Does Marvel have the liquid cash available to set up a distribution company for themselves?
See, I don't
know. For their comics division?
That I don't know, man. See, there's a lot of unknowns in this. But here's the thing: DC does. We already talked about it. DC has, the same distribution center that does their Time Warner magazine.
Yeah, but doesn't Disney can buy whatever they want.
Disney can't buy jack shit right now.
Does Disney want to support Marvel Comics? I understand them wanting to support the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but is Disney willing to shell out money in this time where they're cutting back? And they even brought back Bob Iger.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the hell? Real quick, and just wanted to acknowledge the chat. Jason Tershak, Ignited, get tuned in. Hey, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. Please, if you could, guys, like it says at the bottom of the thing, share this out on your social media, man, because I'm a shameless shill, and YouTube doesn't support channels like this anymore. So, but
let me give you an opinion of what.
Go ahead.
I don't know what they'll do. I've been hearing some things, and this is partial of what I've been hearing. If you have the crack, you make them come to you to get the crack, right? Mm-hmm. So you force their hand. If you want to read these weekly comics that we put out, you can get them here. The ones that sell well, we'll put into trade paperbacks. Don't create business that serves against yourself, right? The weekly floppy is one of those things where, well, what do I want? Do I want to get it weekly, or I want to wait for the trade? So you now have created a model where you are in competition with yourself. Mm-hmm. So I personally think what they'll do is force the hand. Anything that sells, you'll put together in a trade. I think they'll look at that idea of that and go, let's see what that generates as far as money goes.
See, that's actually part of the idea that I was thinking. I was like I said, to get this thing back to the idea of it being a disposable form of entertainment. The books that sell, like their core books, the books that sell really well, like your Batmans, your Supermans, your Justice Leagues, stuff like that. Those books you continue to print, okay? Because those books have a built-in audience that will continue to consume them. All right. Those books make money. All these other books, like books that fall below a certain level, that don't really make any money, and to be honest, most people aren't going to buy that stuff unless it's in a collected form anyway. Those books go digital. If you want to read those books, you read them digitally, right? And then once you have the collected storyline for that, you make a trade of that. You sell that as a physical medium.
Disney already has their own publishing company, Disney Publishing Worldwide.
Right, but I'm not sure what Disney has as far
publishing
as
and distribution is different.
Yeah, they're two different things. But so like the books that you print would be your trade paperbacks, your collections, your premium titles. And then all these other titles that don't really make any money, that don't really have an audience that you still want to do, you do them digitally, and then you're cutting your costs down for them as well, because now you don't have to print them. You know what I'm saying? So that's one model that they could go forward to. The other model would be something like what Peter Simeti does. He makes books in a cheaper format. Anybody want to weigh in?
Well, I know people bring up what Peter Simeti does, but in truth, it's all great. They're all great ideas. They're all, he's mailing this stuff out himself. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he's a small little operation, and that's why he kind of keeps things small. But he doesn't have. Look, his ideas aren't going to solve the industry. They work for him. And if anyone wanted to follow him, they'd probably work for them.
Mhm.
When it comes to 40 titles, at minimum per month, you couldn't do it out of your garage with just your family. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that, and that's one of the things one of the reasons I was saying, when you have that many titles, because the flood to shelf model that Marvel and DC have been using for the last 5-6 years, that flood to shelf model isn't going to work anymore. It just isn't. Stores, and like back in the mid 90s, when Marvel went to they were like, yeah, we're gonna have 30 titles this month. Back then, stores were going, this is too much. We can't handle this. Now Marvel puts out upwards of 90 to 100 a month between the different between their ongoings and their minis and limited series and one shots and stuff like that. There's no way that they can that's a model that can continue going forward.
No,
it just can't.
I think they know that. I think they're looking at a sort of threshold. These teams, these artists, these books, these characters do this well. All this other stuff we like to do, and we like to try to, because sometimes, remember, they're building maybe a show, or they're trying to do this or that, whatever. Those things that don't sell well, like you're saying, they're not going to be on the schedule. Those artists aren't going to be employed by Marvel, So you might get a thinning of the herd of talent, but we're going to keep the cream of the crop. And I've actually heard that said.
Well, that's one model that I know that they're going to have to do.
Right.
They're going to have to, like, all these little pet projects, these social commentary projects. What's that?
Be right back.
Yeah. These little vanity projects that they're doing, that stuff's going to have to go away. Or at the very least, like I said, that stuff goes digital. You reduce your cost on those things. But as far as like the model that I would, like we said, and this is something else that we'll have to talk about in a minute. This is in a perfect world scenario where they basically look at the situation and they bite the bullet and they say, okay, this has to change. We have to change this. We can't keep doing things the way we were before, because it's just not sustainable, and it's going to kill the company. We can't do this.
Right.
But going like I was saying, man, going digital, embracing digital for those lesser titles, and printing the things that are going to sell and going to sell well, and maybe even reducing your costs on those by going with some cheaper materials. You don't have to go back to newsprint, but every friggin' comic doesn't need a friggin' doesn't need 15 different covers. Every friggin' comic doesn't need a cardstock cover with gloss paper. You know what I mean? You could go to the stuff that they had, the paper that Image first started with. It wasn't the high gloss stuff, but it was the same paper without the gloss. You can reduce your costs on certain things, but the books that are printed have to be books that sell. And that's just the simple fact of it. They can't, these vanity projects, they're not sustainable.
Or they just go for it, right? You might just say, let's reboot, let's go for it. Let's every weekly comic is digital, and then and lower the price on that. Try to figure that out, because no one wants to buy a $5 comic, but figure that out, right? Mm-hmm. And then things that are really sell well, we'll put them together nice, hardcover or nice hard cardstock covers and stuff. We'll package them up really good. We might even make them larger size, whatever. But honestly, you either got to push the people towards digital. You really almost can't do both. You can't go, well, we're going to print Superman, Batman, and the Justice League, but everything else, just like Green Lantern and Wonder Woman, all that, it's all going to be digital. No, you either got to go either or. And I think if it were me, I would say, okay, we're going to push you. We're going to see if this is a habit you can't break. And then everything is digital. and all the things that are really well, and we get somebody on for 6 issues or whatever, we're going to package up nicely and, see if you buy it, because, now it's a collectible. Now it's something for your shelf. When you create competition against yourself, then you create almost like a confusion. Like, do I wait? Do I get this? I know they're going to package Neil Adams, Ra's al Ghul up into a nice hardcover. I've got the Odyssey hardcover, so do I wait? And you create confusion. You create almost lackluster market for yourself by doing that, because some people want it. I would like it in a nice one edition. I'm not here to collect comic books anymore and bag them and put them in a box and move them every time I move. That's not my game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know, man. I mean, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, because one of the they're going to have to embrace. Well, we shouldn't say this. If they want to truly survive, they're going to have to embrace a new model. They have to.
I agree. And you know what else you do? You house them. You house them digitally. Frig Comicology, I don't know what their deals are, if they have to wait for them to run out or something like that, or if they can kind of, do a wait and see or something. But every publisher should have their own place where I come and I'm giving you money directly.
Yeah, Image used to do that, didn't they?
I know they have them. But
Yeah.
you're competing against Comicology.
Yeah.
You want the one stop, or do you want to drive them to where they should go? And personally, I think you drive them to where they should go. You want your IDW titles, you get them right here at IDW's store, and screw Comicology, because it's just one of those things where that you don't get all that money. You don't even get. I don't even know if it's half.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I think the whole reason that they went with the Comicology model is it was convenient, and they didn't. Basically, they were just like, okay, here's the files. You guys take care of everything else and just give us our cut.
Right.
But at the time, remember, digital was a really small part of the comic book industry, because one, they really didn't support it all that much, and two, most collectors just really weren't interested in digital. Now, if we go to a model like you were saying, or like a partial model, like I was saying, now digital becomes something that they have to push. Now it becomes something that they have to use.
And it becomes a cross-pollination of all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
You could put your trailers in the comics, whatever. Be smart. Don't be stupid. And screw Bezos, or whatever his name is,
Jeff Bezos.
Amazon. Yeah.
The don't be stupid part. That's the caveat. That's the big part.
Right.
That's the thing. But
don't be afraid to give away something for free to drive people around.
Dude, I've talked about how when the movies were when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was first hitting, and they were producing $1 billion movie after the other, why they didn't include every time, because they send those big displays to theaters and stuff. Mm-hmm. Why inside of every one of those display packages that Marvel would send out why they didn't have a mini spinner, like a couple of mini spinners, and a bunch of those $1 version, like those True Believer books that they're doing, where they're reprinting old books that only cost $1. Why weren't there a bunch of those sitting on the counter at every friggin' theater that's showing these movies? You're not, it's not going to cost you that much to do that. I mean, why weren't you doing that? You could have built more,
or given it away. Every ticket purchased got a free comic.
Yep. Why not? Like when Infinity War came out, man, the first issue of the Infinity Gauntlet should have been on that thing.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and they could have printed, like I said, they're selling these reprints for $1. So for a fact that they could make these things cheap and sell them like that. Why not?
That's when your next movie is coming out. So you're also using it as an advertising tool. You could actually put the whole Phase 4, every movie that's after the movie where they gave you a comic, they could have put an ad in.
Yep.
It's no brainer. They just don't. I don't get it.
It's
I don't understand it.
I think this is what happens when you have different divisions. Like you've got your comic division, you've got your film division, you got different divisions and different heads and different personnel in all of them, and nobody talks. You know what I mean?
I approached Jim Chadwick because he talked about, like, he made a post about the Gotham Academy. And I was like, you know what? You guys had a great hit with Broken Glass. It was a hit. It was well done. But when people read this, you're as long as your mission statement isn't cross-pollination, then this is fine. It can exist on its own. But if you're trying to cultivate new readers, and then they go and they read, oh, well, Bruce is a 40-year-old man with a bunch of kids that he hangs out with, you've completely changed the dynamic of what that story means to them and what they were looking for. So you go ahead and you do that, but you don't look for it to be something where you're cross-pollinating, because you're just making a mixed message for them.
But Tersus does, and notice how GameStop is selling Funko Pop and garbage merchandise into the games. Is Marvel doing this? Selling Spider-Man PJs instead of good comics. Marvel, the comic division, is basically being used as advertisement to sell everything else. Everything else. Toys, video games, movies. And that's the problem. The comics aren't being made to be comics themselves. The vast majority of them are being made as IP farms to create storylines. That's the whole reason why that Gotham High book was even created. That thing wasn't made to be a comic book. They know that most comic book fans don't give a crap about that piece of crap. But that thing is a test bed for a CW show. That's what
gets lost when you have that mindset is exploration and experimentation. You don't get guys like Mark Millar wanting to write the books and stuff like that and go, let me take this character in this direction. Let me do this. Let me do that. You can't do this. You can't do that. We can't allow that. And we can't allow this. That's what those guys get. So the creators, the old school guys, they don't, notice you don't see their names.
Yeah.
They'd rather go make their own IPs. But what's lacking in the industry is that 90s vibe of, wow, this is groundbreaking. You just took the character in a new direction. You don't get that anymore.
No, all the innovators know that nothing they do is going to be worthwhile because they're going to be hamstrung. So they're taking that's what, most creators don't, that work for Marvel and DC. They're not giving their best stuff. They're saving that for when they do their own book. They'll go over to Image or whatever. They'll do their own book because they're trying to become the next Walking Dead. They're trying to become the next Saga. They're trying to become the next Miller World, basically. Because they know that going over there and working for Marvel, DC, that they don't have that same drive doesn't exist anymore, where they want to create something truly special. They're basically looking at like, this is a stepping stone to where I really want to go. And I think that's a huge problem because when the creativity isn't there, the product suffers. But getting back to the original point that we were talking about, this situation that's happened here, this is like we were always saying that the comic book industry was in trouble, but this has sped the situation up. This has sped it up to the point where they are now being forced to deal with it. And because they're being forced to deal with it, their solutions, like I said, in a perfect world would be far more realistic. This product that doesn't move can't either it can't be made, or it has to be made in a format that is cheap and cost efficient. What do you guys think? Are there any other models that might work outside of this, man?
Yeah. Everything that you guys just talked about doesn't take into the assumptions that Marvel and DC are now owned by bean counters, and these people have a threshold in terms of money that is being made. If they dip below that threshold, it doesn't matter if it's profitable. They will kill the company. They will move it, and they will move it into a brand, and they will work on the licensing model where every dollar that they get in is a positive on the balance sheet.
Yeah,
and there's no risk. This is where it's going. Why is this going this way? Because the human condition takes 6 weeks to get into a habit, and we're going to be way past 6 weeks when there's no new comic books.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, there's not going to be any more income coming into the pockets of people other than any money that's coming in. People are going to be reevaluating their life choices. Am I going to spend money on entertainment or essentials?
Yeah, that's already happening, and it's
but it's going to happen to a greater extent.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're trying to find they're trying to find some kind of model that they could put into effect now.
Well, they're gonna try, but it won't be possible. There's too many roadblocks ahead of them.
Yeah,
and the digital doesn't make them enough money. If the companies were just going to survive on digital, the company would be shut down the next day.
Yeah, okay. The biggest problem is the people that are in charge.
Well, right now, the people who are in charge, it's academic now. It's no longer who's in charge. It's just a process that is being played out, and there's no what do you call it? There's no direction other than the two big companies are going to be shut down because of the dynamics around them. It's just academic now. It's just a moment. It's just a wait and see. And the interesting thing is, Todd McFarlane is trying to save. On the flip side, Todd McFarlane is trying to save Image by actually staying relevant in the mindset of his customers, which is the reason why he actually did the Kickstarter. But he already had that planned already. So it's just a fortune of luck. But what McFarlane has done, regardless whether the virus is upon us or not, is possibly the greatest mistake in his professional career. He just brought his audience that most likely, a lot of them were not crowdfunders, supporters. He brought them into the crowdfunding world. They opened up an account. They have a Kickstarter account. They're getting their Todd McFarlane thing, but now that they're in the crowdfunding world and they just got a piece of the action, they're going to be looking around, seeing what else is there.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be detrimental to him because Todd.
No.
Todd,
I didn't say it's a detrimental to him. I said it's a mistake that he did. He brought his audience to the crowdfunding world. He will still make his money. He will still be Todd McFarlane. The majority of his money is not in comic books. It's in sports and other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he just brought his audience that would normally not be in the crowdfunding world to the crowdfunding world. Now, Comicsgate and everybody else, all they have to do is put on their best suit, comb their hair, and present themselves properly, and you got yourself a brand new audience.
I think a portion of that's correct. I think that a lot of people, those people that follow Todd, they probably aren't really up on the crowdfunding, the whole crowdfunding thing. But I think a lot of them were. But as far as Todd's concerned, like I was gonna say is like it may end up be detrimental for other creators because now they're now having to compete with not just other printed mediums, but with crowdfunding. But as far as him himself is concerned, dude, that guy could walk into crowdfunding today and just be a monster.
There's really no telling what that did, right? I know what George is saying,
yeah.
but it was a toy, but all for the better. I mean, even if McFarlane thought, wow, look at this place, what this did for me, I'm going to do more of this, which he probably will, and he might try to finance his own movie this way, but what you really need are things like this to happen. Things like McFarlane, what you need is one of these properties to become the next thing that gets on the silver screen. That'll really change the type of eyes on crowdfunding, and it'll change the type of wallets that are there. and all for the better. Whether it's Sean Gordon Murphy, yes, he's already done 2 of these, by the way. Everyone thinks he's going to come
Right.
change the dynamic, but he's done 2. But all of these things will help. There are a lot of guys that I know, that really good artists, who don't draw comic books anymore because they go from convention to convention to convention, and they spend their life doing that all year round. What are they doing now? So now they're putting together a book, and they're going to be crowdfunding. So you're going to get a lot more product and a lot better product. I think that is always a good thing, because I think there's a lot of mediocre product on crowdfunding.
Well, I think that, you know, like we've all been talking about this for years now, that crowdfunding is the future for this industry. Even if they do adopt one of these other models that we're talking about, and by some miracle it does catch on, that's just a stopgap for the right, like, you know, because there's just too many other forms of entertainment that they're competing with. And comics are already they're one step away from being a niche product, you know, a niche form of entertainment. And crowdfunding is definitely the direction that everyone that the industry is going in, and we're already seeing that. But I don't think Todd McFarlane, like honestly, I think the reason why he did what he did, because he's also it's not just the toy, it's a remastered version of Spawn #1.
Remastered? No, it's got a new cover.
I thought the whole book was like reimagined.
No, it's gonna have a new cover.
Okay.
I mean, what does remastered mean to you? Are they gonna recolor it? Maybe.
I don't know. They haven't really touched on that yet.
That was the Malibu colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, even if it's nicely colored with a new guy or whatever, that it's still Spawn #1. It's not gonna, there's a million of those out there.
Yeah, but it's also, you know, it's like, look what happened with when he with Spawn 300. That thing sold over 1 million copies.
And that was another great thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? He should put a special cover up of that and crowdfund it.
Yeah. But I think he did
making all kinds of money. You know, when he doesn't need to, he should, because I don't mind that these guys bring eyes and different wallets and different people to the crowdfunding. This is always going to be a better idea.
Yeah, and like Uncanny Kodak said, yeah, I think the reason why he did this was he's testing the waters to see the interest. Is part of the reason why he did it. Because like we said, Todd McFarlane doesn't need money. That dude is loaded.
Look, if Blumhouse couldn't make his movie for $20 million, he's going to go make it himself.
Yeah,
and he's going to finance it himself through crowdfunding. He mentioned that.
Yeah,
around,
they were going to make a Blumhouse Spawn movie.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Arthur, go on Kickstarter and look up Todd McFarlane's Spawn action figure. Basically, what he's doing, it's a remastered version of the original Spawn action figures that came out back in the 90s. And that thing actually, you know what? Let me go. I'm gonna pull it up and see where that thing's at. He made $1 million in 3 days.
Yeah, but Rob, even with crowdfunding, Kickstarter, you know, soon people are not gonna have the money to be able to even afford even $5 to send to somebody.
Oh, right. No, yeah. The situation right now, like, and nobody's got any money right now. You know what I mean? Everybody, like, people are out of work. Their hours are being cut. Right now, at this particular point in time, nobody's got any money. But I'm talking about what happens, you know, 4, 5, 6 months from now.
I think you need to do both. I think you need to do crowdfunding. You also need to do digital. They need to do both if they want to survive, because you're not going to survive with one or the other.
Well, that's another model that someone put forward, because if you look at companies like Antarctic Press, you got Matthew Weldon's book on their Punchline, and the books like that My Hero Macadamia and stuff like that. Those are books that are crowdfunded, get made, get their funding to be created, pay their artists and everything, and then they take that to a company like Antarctic Press, and Antarctic Press then releases it and in a general release. So a lot of books, you know, that's another model that like Marvel and DC might come up with, is like, hey, we're going to license this book to you. It like they'll go approach, like, say, I don't know, a Neil Adams or something like that, and say, hey, you want to do this book? we'll give you the license, we'll help you promote it. You crowdfund it. If you get this, and you get this thing paid for through crowdfunding, and then we'll release it through our brand, or even like a new product or something like that. That's another model that they could go to.
Yeah,
Freaking
that might work. We never know when you're going to take a break.
But it's just like, well, I'll start making a single like and go. But there's like I said, there's a lot of possibility for them to adopt a new model and recover from this. The big problem, though, is that, and this is actually something we were talking about on Art Stream, like I said, right before we got killed. The people that are in charge right now do not want to go to a model like that, because then it's them admitting that they screwed up, that the model that they've pushed forward doesn't work and is killing the industry. They will now have to go to their superiors and say, we were wrong, we screwed up, we now have to change and do this. Because then those guys will be like, well, then you obviously are not the person to be in charge of this.
No, they're going to have to do that regardless, because either they go to their superiors or their superiors come to them.
That's not going to happen, guys, because right now the companies are run by committee or a team of people that vote on decisions. So the responsibility or the failure is mitigated across so many people. No one's going to feel a thing. No one's going to get the boot, other than ceremonial boots or shifting of positions. But the people that actually run the place, they're still going to be there.
Right. That's the problem. They're still going to be there.
That's the reality of a corporation.
Yeah.
You have too many people like Warner Brothers sticking their nose into DC movies. You have Kathleen Kennedy, who has no idea what the hell she's doing running Lucasfilms. You got people like that in charge of this who have no idea what they're doing with comic books. And until you get people who have a passion for that, you're screwed.
Yeah, and that's like one of the biggest hurdle to overcome, is that the same people that are in charge are still going to be in charge. So, and then Arthur Kodiak, there is a comic involved. If you look at the title, it says original Spawn action figure and comic remastered. I'll drop the link in the chat there for you. Paste that. I don't like I said, I know that they're supposed to do a remastered comic, but as to what it entails, they haven't really gone into that yet. So, but no, it's like I said, like all of these potential ways to, for them to survive this, none of it matters if the people that are in charge are still going to just keep doing business as usual.
Unfortunately, that's probably what's going to happen. It's like Dillard said, they're the same people are going to be in charge, even if they just get shifted around, even if they go to a different company. If you start seeing people from DC going to Marvel and Marvel going to DC. And part of the problem is, I also think, is like the Marvel movie franchise, is people seeing things like that make a lot of money. And once there's a lot of money involved, you're not going to get the quality anymore, because you squeeze quality to get profit. Once you start squeezing quality to get profit, your profit goes down, because you're not putting out that
quality,
the quality product anymore. People aren't going to want it. And instead of then looking, because it's a very corporate thing to do, at that point you look at your profit margins and you're like, well, this is losing money now. Why should we bother with it? And if you're lucky and it gets cut off and becomes its own thing again, then it can start making at least enough money to survive, like comics did for 30 years. Back in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, comics weren't making a ton of money for a ton of people. For like the past 15 years, they've made a ton of money for some people, which has kept them afloat. But now that those people aren't going to be making the kind of money they were, they're either going to slough it off, just,
Phone it in.
well, no, not phone it in, just slough it off like, okay, you're a dried husk now, we'll just put you're on your own.
Oh yeah.
Which would probably be some of the best things that could happen to comics. Or they're just going to go, well, that's run its course, kill it.
Yeah, move on to the next.
Not even move on, just kill that because it's not making us money anymore, which would be very unfortunate because it does have potential, just not that much money. It could still make money for people that want to do it, but people that are looking for profit, it's not going to pay them enough money to stay in it. So if they just kill it off.
Comics did make money last year, though. It was $1 billion business last year.
Yeah.
And the year before. But I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But again, like George always says, these are still licensing farms. They make a ton of money licensing these products. Their IPs out to products, so you're always going to have that. Now, are they going to let somebody like IDW control the main title, Spider-Man? No. Everyone says that, and I'll never believe it. They're not going to farm this stuff out. They'll farm out kids' editions of this stuff, even like the old Marvel Age and stuff like that. But they're not going to take their main heroes and their main continuity and scrap it and farm everything else.
No, the way I always said that they would do that is like they would have like a core group of books in house, and then the other stuff would be farmed out. Like that's the like you said, like your Spider-Mans, your X-Men, your Wolverines, your Avengers. Those books, those core books, like maybe like 10 titles, that are like your core books. Your Supermans, your Batmans, your Justice Leagues. That stuff, they will never surrender those things completely. They might license them out to have like a kid's version or something, but those things I think they would always keep in house. Everything else would get farmed out.
That's technically that's not a possibility under a corporate regime such as they have. It either all stays in or all leaves out. They're not gonna have some inside and some outside because
they already do have.
They're already doing that though. They're doing it with IDW.
I know, but they're doing it because the whole thing was a mess. Now
That's not why they're doing that.
Now the whole reset that's happening right now, they're going to reassess the numbers. They're going to say, is this worth our time to have anything in house? Is this worth our time to split it up? They're going to do the numbers.
Well, it's not that they can't do it. It's just that
it made $1 billion last year, George. That means there's money somewhere.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Everyone keeps looking at the number. Oh, I made as an arbitrary. I made $100 last year, but out of that $100, how much of it was actually expense, and how much was it really profit? That's
that number is only profit.
What's that?
You're looking at a number in sales where well, again, it's still a hard number to look at. I get that because you don't know without the stores. This is the thing, without the stores, now you have to change the model.
Yeah.
Now you can't force your numbers to be different than they are. Like I digitally bought, it counts as one. I digitally bought, it counts as one. The whole model that they had with the stores was about fudging numbers and fuzzy math.
Yeah.
So I get that, so you either gotta do trial by fire and go, well, now we're really going to know how much we sold and how much we didn't.
Well, they know how much they really sold, how much they didn't. It's just that outside of the boardroom, nobody else is going to know those numbers. Because they have to know, because at the end of the day, they have to know what's moving and what isn't. as far, with the industry in the state that it's in going forward, you're right. They're not going to be able to do that over shipping crap. They're not going to be able to fudge those numbers, even though Disney is famous for doing that. Disney is famous for fudging the crap out of for baking the crap out of their books. But
that's the scary thing about Disney is it looks like they're gonna fold as quickly as Diamond, because it seems, and this is an assumption, mind you, everybody here and everybody out there who's listening, that Diamond was working on a Ponzi scheme, meaning that the money that they had was taking care of business that they had previously.
Yeah, robbing Peter to pay Paul, basically.
Exactly, and that's a problem. That's a big problem. But the thing is, now we're seeing the same scenario being played out with Disney at a much greater scale.
Yeah,
technically speaking, Disney is so big, with so much money, they would have been able to ride this whole thing for about a year easily. But apparently, that's not going to happen.
Well, it's because with the last 5 or 6 years, they went on a freaking buying spree, and they were buying up all these companies and IPs between like everyone talks about them losing money on Star Wars. Do you know how much money they spent on friggin' 20th Century Fox? They expended so much of their they expended so much of their liquid capital on the Fox Disney deal. That put them. That's what's really got them in a bind right now.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's because I'm pulling it up here because the amount that they paid for Fox was ridiculous. And it was even for a company like Disney, that's like, you don't have that much money laying around. So they had to dip into a lot of different the pies that they got their fingers in to really pull capital out of that. And $71.3 billion.
Yeah, that would do it.
And that just happened. That was just finalized last year. So you think about the fact that they were thinking they had time to basically to recuperate from this, and then this whole situation, this whole COVID.
Yeah, it's like Monopoly. They went around the board and they bought a bunch of hotels and they landed on one of their competitors' properties.
Yeah, they basically they blew all their money on hotels and then they landed on Boardwalk. So
I said, oh shit, let me mortgage something.
Yeah, because they were actually looking for a $6 billion loan recently. And that was one of the reports that was coming out. Because here's the thing. One of the things that they've always depended on is they have certain things, the Disney parks and their cruise line and their hotels that are constant. They're a consistent
cash flow.
Stream. Yeah, it's a consistent stream. Guess what? All that stuff shut down. That consistent cash flow isn't coming in anymore. And all those people that they borrowed money from, all those investors to do this Fox deal are now going, where's our money? And Disney's they're in a real bind right now. And like I said, Disney has always had this thing. They've been really famous for being under scrutiny for cooking their books. So the profits that they make may not be anywhere near what they claim they were. But that's a whole, and that's one of the reasons why I think why Marvel, their comic book division is really on the bubble right now. Because when you've got a parent company like that that's in dire straits, they're looking like, okay, what can we kill? And right now, one of the things they can kill, and it really wouldn't hurt them that much, is the comic division. And I'm done.
Well, once again, yeah, you could do that, and the thing is how do you deal with that? Do you sell the comic division? Do you just push it away and go, you guys are on your own now? Or do you sell it? Do you push it away, or I should say drop it off? Because you can sell it, you can drop it off, or you can just close it, just kill it, just say nope.
I don't know. I mean, I think Todd hit on an idea that they might do, which it's kind of the like if you look at an industry that has sustained itself is manga, and the way that manga does it is kind of like the way Todd was saying. They make these they make these big bound volumes of it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're not doing these single issue monthly things. They're putting out big chunks. So maybe you go to a model like that.
That'd be awesome.
Something that you know is profitable. But then again, there's a you look into manga. Manga's a whole different kind of industry, man. You don't have just one dude working on like the art of a book. You've got like sometimes you do, but most of the time you got a guy who's doing breakdowns, and there's like 4 or 5 other people under him that are doing finishes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got this team, and they work round the clock. Like they work like 18 hours a day, hammering this thing out. So, there's a lot of logistics to go through, but that might be a more profitable way to do things because, like Todd said, you're competing with yourself if you're doing monthly issues, and then you announce as the monthlies are being sold, you're doing a trade. Well, we don't even have to announce it because if the thing sells even remotely well, they're going to do a trade for it.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you guys think? Is that a model they could go to?
There's so many, like, we sit here and say, well, they're not smart, and somebody's got to be looking at the things that do work, because Europe's not crying about their comics and going, oh boy, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
because their model works, right?
Yeah, but Europe does a model that's kind of like that, though. They don't do like these single issues.
They do 60 some odd pages, hardcover, oversized, big, great paper. And I love for the comic book market to go that way. But I don't want to see, like, I want to see the cream of the crop in that format.
Yeah.
I don't want to see people who draw like it's a coloring book kind of thing. Not that style is, I'm just saying, if I want to see that here, I want to see illustrators and draftmen and stuff like that. I want to see the best. I want to see Oliver Copiel. I want to see Jerome Opina, Rafa Sandoval, Ivan Reyes. Those are the guys I want to see in that format. There's plenty of artists out there that don't even try it because I'm not putting my money down on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The one thing that I think we can all agree on is like whatever model they go to, if they try anything, they've got to dump off these friggin' Twitter
artists.
Yeah, these Twitter artists and stuff like that. They've got to go to the people that sell. Real quick, Albino Thunderbird said after Disney borrowed $13 billion 2 weeks ago. They just borrowed another 5. They're losing. Actually, I've seen that this number is actually even higher than this. They're losing between $30 and $50 million a day that they'll admit to. And like I said, like if your parent company, and Disney is one of the biggest conglomerates on the planet, if they're suffering this badly, Marvel has got to be on the bubble. They really have to be like they've got to be right there, hanging on by the skin of their teeth. But like I think, like I said, it's possible. I think it's possible for them to come out of this in a better position than they are right now. But it would require them to completely change their mindset, and they would have to adopt a completely different model because the one that works right now just isn't going to work. The question is, will they do that? And unfortunately, in my personal opinion, the answer is no. I mean, I don't know what you guys. I mean, what do you guys think? Is it you think they're gonna? I mean, like I said, because we talk about this a lot. They can't be. They're not stupid. It's just they've hamstrung themselves. You know what I mean? Like I've said before,
a lot of what hamstrung them is contracts with Diamond.
Yeah.
There probably was a no compete with Comicology, stuff like that. So there's things we don't know to speak of because we don't know them, right? But again, like I said, if you want people, you got to force their hand. If you're the crack seller, don't give it to the third-party guy to go sell it for you. Drive them right to you. This is where you get your crack. You get it on this corner and this corner only. That's it.
Can't. Well, here's the question though: are they going to be able to do that with the industry in the current state that it's in, or is it going to be like George said? People are just like I said. People are creatures of habit, and once that habit's broken, they move on. So, are they going to be able to make that demand?
I see too many of these guys are so stuck in superheroes that they still haven't moved on. So yeah, I think you might. You know, I don't know. I personally there isn't much that I read anymore that is mainstream superheroes. So I don't get it. I think you can push people around if you do it right. And you, like I said, you may have to start off by giving something away. You may have to create some kind of event. You might need to do a crossover with other companies. I don't know. You know what? You want your movie made, Todd McFarlane? Well, we'll make it at MCU. You draw Spider-Man for 6 issues. Whatever. You do something outside the box. You want to save your industry.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna blow Dillard up here because I'm liking what he's drawing here.
Well, I'm just putting in big black areas because I'm gonna have to do a lot of hatching. This is gonna be a leather jacket.
Are you spotting blacks?
I am.
Oh my God! There are artists that would kill you.
Why?
You're not supposed to spot blacks, man. You're supposed to hatch that in.
What did I do to them?
I just, yeah, like the biggest problem right now, I think, is this. Is like we've said a couple times on here. Now I'm going to move on from this now because I'm sure everybody's bored to death of what you're saying. Is the people that are in charge right now are going to be the people that are in charge after this, and they're not going to change. The unfortunate truth is they're not.
Look, speaking from experience from these people, they're not like how they look. Okay, they're towing a company line. They know just as well as we know. Nobody's buying Squirrel Girl. We could repackage it however you want it. No one's buying Captain America. We can add 100 more number ones. They're just not interested in that character, so they're not stupid, and they're not really like how they appear to us.
Oh, I know. So, a lot of it's a front.
Right. So if they go, if they step up and go, do you want me to save them again? Do you want me to do this again? Because I did it once before. And they allow him to do it, he can do it.
Yeah, that's the question, though. Are they going to allow them to do it?
That's what and that's what bothers me the most. Is that it may come down to that they don't. No, we like this a social justice nonsense, so we want to keep going with it.
See, that's the problem. The people that are in charge are the ones who are making those decisions.
Right.
And they're not going to, and like we said, they're not going to change. So it would be great if they did. Actually, dude, and sorry, on a tangent here, Kodiak, Todd McFarlane, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I could have swore I saw something where he said he would be willing to do a Spawn Spider-Man book. Was it Spawn Spider-Man or Spawn Batman?
He did say Spawn Spider-Man.
He did?
So, yeah.
Yeah, he said that in the right circumstances, with the situation being what it is, he'd be willing to do a Spawn Spider-Man crossover. So, never say never, man, because you know you go to you prostrate yourself before the Todd Father. He might be willing to hook you up. So, but this is looking good, John.
Just put Rob in charge.
No, I would be a terrible leader. I would be.
As John's editor, don't speak to him while he's working.
You gonna get a big head. But yeah, I just I think something good could come out of this. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that it will, though. I do think that they'll continue to exist in some form, but I don't know, man. It's right now. I don't think any of us are really. Everything's just kind of up in the air right now. But I don't have any faith in the current powers that be to do what's right.
Me neither. Like I said earlier, if their hand isn't forced, if it doesn't fail and collapse on them catastrophically, if there's an inkling or an ounce that they can get back to how the status quo was, they're going to take it and then hold on to it tight.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is unfortunate.
That's the same thing with CBS and Viacom. They're just
oh god, yeah. Yeah, CBS is in some serious trouble, man. That whole thing with the was it CBS the CBS network that they've got?
All access.
Yeah, CBS All Access. That thing is a catastrophic failure. And these licenses and properties that they were bringing, they were depending on Star Trek. They were depending on Star Trek to be the big seller for this thing, and it's crap in the bed. There's that, and they're saying now that even though Picard got what was it for 3 seasons? It was that they said that they announced for it that they had 3 seasons, that they were going to do 3 seasons definitely.
I think so.
They're saying now that it might not come back. So yeah, and like I remember I saw that on I can't remember what news feed I was watching, but yeah, that whole situation with CBS and Viacom, they may be. Some people are saying that they are actually looking into the possibility of declaring bankruptcy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, because they were counting on Picard to float some of their other failing programs.
Yeah,
and it
was
just
lukewarm.
Yeah, the reception was not great.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like we talked about this on ArtStream. There were some good things about Picard. Like I liked the stuff with Riker. It's like and even with Discovery, it's a beautiful series. The effects budget on that thing is crazy. You know,
Discovery, get out of my face.
It's just the writing is terrible. And they wanted to push an agenda, and they're paying the price for it now. But anyway, that's that's what I think about like I said, that's the positives I can see possibly coming out of the industry if somebody gets a rush of common sense to the head. I don't hold any I'm not going to hold my breath though. I don't know about you guys. But anyway, let's move on to a couple other things that we're already like 15 minutes after. Tom,
yes,
do you want to finally give us your review for Die?
Well, it's still there. Got a good.
Yeah.
All 3 letters right there. Die.
Yeah. Now, when we say die, we don't mean die as in like you're gonna die.
Die.
We need die as in these.
As in
game dice.
Are those the ones that you slap your hands and they start jumping all by themselves?
No, but I would look into that.
I have them. They're called boogie dice. You can.
That's
find
awesome.
Them. They're really good.
All right, Tom.
Take all that pesky physical interaction out of rolling dice.
Yeah.
Okay, Die. Let's see. This is by let's get the artist names here. Crap. There's Gillian, Hans, and Kaulis are the creators on this.
Names may possibly be wrong because we suck at names.
Yes, pronunciation is not my thing.
All right.
So
break it down for us. But,
Die, number 1. Got number 2 sitting down there. I'm going to be reading that this next week. Bunch of kids get together for their 16th birthday to play a new game. They make their characters and they disappear for 2 years. And then 5 of the 6 reappear in the middle of the street. One recently having their arm severed. Is it 35 years later? 25 years later.
25 years later.
25 years later, it's kind of the thing with them. People want to know what happened to them, and they're like, I can't talk about it. And people are like, well, sure, you can talk. And they're like, no, I can't. I literally can't talk about it. None of them, even to each other, they can't talk about what happened to them. And then, it's 25 years later. It's the one guy's birthday again. He's at a bar with his sister having some drinks, and the bartender's like, hey, somebody left this here for you as a birthday present. And the guy opens it up. And I left this bit of a critical thing, but the beginning of the game, everybody got a particular die type. There was one of each type: D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20. So he gets a box and he opens it up, and it's the D20, which is the guy that didn't return with the rest of them. And it's got blood on it, and he freaks out. So he contacts all the other people. They all get back together, and when they do get back together, they find themselves in the same place where they were last time. They've literally all been sucked into this game world, which is
I can't
which is
remember the
odd.
name of it either.
And do they actually have a name for it?
Yeah, they do, but I can't remember what it is. But it doesn't matter.
I think it was called Jumanji.
Yeah, this book is like
It's
Jumanji meets Dungeons and Dragons.
It's like Jumanji meets I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Kind of, yeah.
That's not a bad description. But yeah, they find themselves in this world, and the world is literally a D20. I mean, it has flat sides, and when you're walking, you get to a corner, and weird geometry to the world. But then you find out that they
What is that noise?
What is that?
it's not me.
Frank, is that you?
It was.
God damn it.
Anyways,
Professional production stream, guys.
where? Okay, so they got sucked back into this game, and it's a fantasy setting, except for the one girl wanted to play a cyberpunk, so she's a cyberpunk in this fantasy setting. But they lived there for the 2 years, and the way they got out is they killed the last guy that had been running the world. They killed him, and then once they all agreed to go home, they could all go back. But as they were going back, they had actually killed the guy that was running the Westworld, and he grabbed the guy and pulled him back as they were leaving. So that's why he never made it back. But he is now the guy
In charge.
running this world or realm, whatever you want to call it.
Uh-oh.
Yep. Things got real sucky for them.
Yeah.
And
he
he's
went crazy.
basically we can all play now. You can live in. And they're like, no, we got lives. We want to go back. And so,
Yeah.
and then
it's
there's a cool
pretty
plot
messed up.
twist at the end. There's a cool plot twist at the end that I don't want to reveal, but unless I have to after reading the next one when I review that. But yeah, it's interesting. They all have different powers. I did read ahead, so I know what the guy with the sword,
Mm.
the
Grief
Grief Knight.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. That's interesting.
And
So,
and that's one of the things too that's really cool about it is there's a downside to every single ability they have.
yeah, the
Wait,
one.
they have ability?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fantasy thing. They all get
They take on
powers and
they each, depending on the die that they picked, they all take on the persona of a particular type of thing. Like the one guy, the Grief Knight, he's basically like sword armor guy, but he gets his power from sadness,
from being
and pain,
sad. Yeah.
from sadness and pain.
Mhm.
So this sword that he has is basically just revealing to him all the almost awful things about him and about his life and in the world. So, and like it's like confronting him with all these horrible truths and stuff about himself. The one guy is the Fool, and he's invincible as long as he's impulsive and doesn't think about it. If he thinks about the consequences for even a second, he's dead.
Yeah, so he does a lot of dumb stuff, which then puts other people in jeopardy. But he's like, "Hey, I'm here to save you. Don't worry about it."
Well, it's like I'll survive. It's
Yeah, and everybody else says, "What are you doing?"
yeah.
No.
And then the one chick who was the cyberpunk thing, she basically has all this awesome magic and stuff, but she has to consume this this element, and it's like a drug. So she becomes addicted to it. So she takes more and more risks to get this stuff.
Mhm.
And it's and again, it puts it into severe danger and everything. And then the other one is like she can she's like a conduit to the gods, but to get them to get what she wants, she has to make deals with them. And the gods in this world suck. They are beyond evil.
Although
So-
for a person that is a conduit for the gods in this whole realm, and that's her power, she says Jesus Christ an awful lot.
Yeah, it's
Like almost like every third page, it's like Jesus Christ. I'm surprised some of the gods are like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
but no, and it's a very brutal. It's a really really brutal book too, man. It's violent as hell.
Yeah.
But
And even like the curse that their previous time in the realm, the one guy's playing a female character, and one of the guys that fell in love with her like went off on a quest or something, and she has the power of her voice. She can
she can
make things
anything-
real just by, or make people do things, or make things real just by speaking them. So he says something about
He would never rest until he sees her again, or something.
right.
Like that.
Something like that about he'll never rest, or he'll never be at rest until he sees her again. And then, of course, she gets ripped out of the realm. She's gone. They come back. And this guy's been dead now for like 23 years because right after she left, he died, but he can't be at rest. So now he's basically a zombie, but his eyes have rotted out.
And he can't see her.
So he can't see her ever again. So he's cursed to be a zombie for all time, but they take care of that.
Yeah, it's
Sort of.
it's
So-
pretty messed up. And that was the interesting thing too, is because when they first got there, they treated it like it was a game.
Yeah.
And because they were like, well, there's no consequences here and everything. So they made all these horrible decisions and did all this horrible stuff to people. And it's just like, yeah, it's messed up, so.
And do you realize who the guy was in the trench when they go to the war? The
Yeah,
war
I
realm
can't,
or
I'm
whatever it
trying
was?
to remember. I remember that. It was, God dang it. It's someone famous.
It's Tolkien.
Yeah, it's Tolkien. That's right. It's Tolkien. And then there's, what's her name? Emily Bronte is in the second book.
Okay.
Yeah, so like these people who actually existed, like they were somehow connected to this world, and that's where a lot of their imagination and fantasy came from, and it came to life in this place.
Yeah.
So
They
a
exist
lot
in
of
this world. And yeah, that's part of the thing that you also
It's like a
Yeah.
holodeck that went out of control.
kind of, yeah,
kinda, yeah. Not a bad descriptor of it.
bringing it back to Star Trek.
So, but yeah, it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you definitely gotta read the second book, man, because it gets.
I'll
even
have it
more-
done by next week. I already read part of it, so
because it gets even more messed up. That leather jacket is looking awesome, John.
Oh, thank you. It'll
Yeah,
look
pretty
better
nice.
once I get all the rest of the hatching.
I think we lost somebody. I think we lost. Oh yeah, we did. We lost George. Sorry about that. If something happened, George, I hope you're okay, man. But yeah, so I got a couple of unboxings to do here.
How many dive books are there?
There's two volumes. There's a third one that's on the way, but because of everything
yeah,
that's
who knows
happened,
now?
yeah, it's going to be a while.
Okay, what does volume 2 look like?
Tom, you want to hold up volume 2?
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, it's got the four main characters on the cover.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the impulsive guy. That's the conduit to the gods. That's the grief knight. That's the tech girl, and that's the
Voice.
voice.
When did this
Yeah.
come out?
This came out last year. Yeah, beginning of last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good book, man. Art style's kind of weird. It's very it's very painterly and very I don't know how would you say it, like
It's kind of got that overwatered watercolor.
yeah.
It's how I would say it. A lot of
Yeah.
stuff kind of like, here's a good first page on volume 2.
Yeah, it's not there's not a whole lot of like there's not a whole lot of detail, but there's a lot of color work.
Yeah, there's not a lot of
It
detail
looks more
or
like concept art than it looks like comic book art.
Yeah, kind of
Right,
that a
yeah.
little bit. It's like concept art with a little bit with a lot of really over the top colors thrown on it.
I have to pick it up somewhere. See if
It's a really interesting book, man. Especially if you ever played any kind of tabletop game or anything like that, it's a really interesting book.
Come on, you know I have.
Yep. But yeah, okay. So we're at 125. So I'm gonna go ahead and I got some comic books in, and this one is Brand.
Oh lordy!
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this sucker up, and I also got Jawbreakers 2.
Does it say copywritten in 2018?
Dude, man, and you know how crowdfunding is, man. It's especially if you've never done it before. There's going to be so many pitfalls and everything. But let me get this one. Good Lord, man. Boy, they made sure that this thing wasn't going to have any problems getting here. Good Lord, it's like a tank. Some of those, have you guys gotten any crowdfunded books before?
yeah.
You know how sometimes those mailers that they send them in are like they're like friggin' paper.
Oh no, both the ones that I've done, or actually all three of the ones I've done have come in like that. They're like,
Yeah, the Gemini mailers. All right, so there's the Gemini mailer. Yeah, these things are like tanks, man. If they're gonna send a book out, man, this is the way to do it. Because
I thought the way to do it was on time.
yeah, well, that's what the nature of crowdfunding, man, is that kind of shit happens, man. I don't think I've ever backed a project, with the exception of Graveyard Shift, that actually shipped on time. It's just one of the especially when you have somebody that's like it's their first campaign. Like I've backed projects before that have never even been fulfilled. And the problem is you gotta look at it like you're investing in something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's just the nature of crowdfunding, man. There have been projects, like I said, what was that one project? Was it Rob Liefeld's one, that the Brigade one that took like 3 years?
Oh, why it eventually came out?
I think it did. I think it was one of those ones that just kind of trickled out, and it took for freaking ever, you know. So and then there's some books that just they're out on time, and people that just they plan ahead better is what it is. But
Look, when this went on, right, and I've said this a million times, every one of those guys, whether EVS or Malin or Mitch, they all threw without any pages done, including Brand. All that was concept art from the first time that he had done it and failed. So all they were looking for is, well, let's see how we do. And thanks to EVS, he pushed a lot of those guys over the top. They got funded, but they got funded without a page being done. I dare you to go do that again.
That's one of the things that every single one of them have said. Not even just the Comics Gate guys, every single crowdfunded book that I've ever done, like whether it be on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, like I backed Bart Sears just did a book. Remember Brutes and Babes?
Yeah.
He did basically, because I guess he owns all that. He put all that together, added a bunch of stuff to it, and he made 2 drawing books out of that. And I backed those. I backed those in crowdfunding, and that thing took that thing was like 7-8 months late. And but every single one of them have come out is like, there were things that we just didn't anticipate, because a lot of those guys, you got to remember, especially these comic book pros, they've never had to deal with all the logistics of these things themselves. They've never had to deal with any of that stuff. And I think they looked at it going, oh, well, that can't possibly be that hard or anything. And then they're like, holy crap, that's way harder than I thought it was. You know what I mean? So for a lot of them, it was a learning experience. I do think that one of the things I think will help is before you launch that next book, you make sure that the other book is on its way to being made. You know what I mean? You make sure that that thing is like you are hammering away at that thing. And then some of them have actually said that they will not put another they will not do another crowdfunding until it's either done or close to done, which isn't a bad idea, because if you're concerned about being able to fulfill on time, then make sure that you're well on your way to having a finished product. Or you can do what Kyung Lee did, where he was like, I'm going to look at where I think, and I'm going to overextend that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, what the way it needs to go. Arthur Brown said, damn, I wish I'd known about that Brutes and Babes thing. I would have backed it. You can still get that book, actually, man. You can go to his, it's Bart Sears, I believe it's Ominous Press. And you can actually still get that book because he did overprint it. But it's just that the people who backed it, they get a little bit of extra. They get some special stuff like that. So
Rob, what do you get? What do you get? Let's
okay,
see.
so there it is. I actually like the fact that they went with this with basically just a regular cover, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of like the chromium and stuff like that, the foil etch, all that kind of thing. I've never been a big fan of that kind of thing. I also think that those are expenses that are unnecessary, and they're also things that are going to slow your campaign down, because you're waiting on all these different extra elements. So I'm glad that this is just like your basic cover. It is cardstock. I'm looking at the pages to see if there's any kind of and I know one of the things that some people have been upset about with the printing, you got the waviness in the dark areas. The
oversaturation of the paper.
Yeah, well, it's like the ink is it oversaturates the paper, and it creates like that wavy kind of impression. There doesn't appear to be any of that here. I'm gonna find a really cool page to show you guys. But yeah, man, I'm digging it. And there is one page in particular I wanted to put in here.
With the bippity boppity boo spell. Show us that one.
Actually, I'm gonna show you this one right here.
That looks cool.
I love that character, man.
Why is he so dark if it's broad daylight?
What's that?
Because he's evil.
Because he's a badass. But yeah, and again, it's done on the high quality, high gloss paper. Me personally, I'm not a fan of that paper. I really wish that people would move away from it and go back to like the stuff that Image was using in the beginning, which was that it's basically the same paper. It just doesn't have that gloss on it. It's kind of like, do you ever read Pitt?
Mm-hmm.
The book Pitt?
Yeah.
That's the paper that Pitt was printed on. That's what I think they should go to. I just think it makes comics look better, because like you said, like if you look at this, the light's kind of glinting off of it and everything.
Yeah.
That to me, that's kind of a detractor. That's like somebody
blind.
That's like somebody talking while you're watching a movie. You know what I mean? It pulls you out of the immersion. But what else do we got here? We got the tchotchkes. We got these little stickers. Got those little those little caricature things. So that's kind of cute. God damn it, Thomas. What the hell's wrong with you, man?
Damn it.
But we got those.
But Rob, when you're at the theater with somebody talking behind you, that's when you turn around and give them that evil look.
Dude, man. Yeah, Frank can tell you guys that's a bad thing to do when you're going to the theater with me. All right, we got the little Dark Santana. Really cool character. I like that character. Actually, like my camera's being an asshole. It's not playing in there.
Is it the camera or the operator?
Shut up. We got some mini prints here. Oh yeah. So I think everybody remembers this one. That caused all the stink. That's the making fun of that T-shirt from was it Mockingbird?
She-Hulk, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was Mockingbird.
Mockingbird.
Yeah, asking me about my feminist agenda. Yep, but we got that. We got some of the characters from Brand. I'm a big fan of Kanan's art. I like Kanan's art. I really like this. He's supposed to be doing that horror book, I believe, with Ethan. I would really interested in that. Him and Dave Finch, I think, are two guys that I think would do really, really well with horror. Nick C said, "What's up, Bob and friends? What's up, Nick C? Thanks for being here, brother." And then one last print. I think, what is this making fun of? I've seen this before where it was a woman laying in a big old pile of money, and then she's got stuff. There's like stuff covering up the naughty bits. I can't remember the name of that friggin' comic or that picture.
Wasn't that a Poison Ivy one?
That might have been, yeah. And there was another one, and I think that one was actually an ape of. There was one with remember Fairchild from Gen 13. There was one where she was laying and she was covered in bullets.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and then we got the
Bookmarker.
Bookmarker. Cool, sexy lady. All right, so that one is completed. Very cool, very cool, very cool. Definitely check out that project. And I didn't. Did you guys pick up Jawbreakers?
Nope. The first one, yeah, not the new one.
Yeah, I didn't get in on the first one, so I don't know what I'm missing out of that one. But I did back Jawbreakers 2, so I'm gonna open that. God dang, man! Well, he made sure this thing got here okay. Holy crap, dude! So we got the Gemini mailer, and then it's wrapped in some kind of cardboard, which I think the reason why he went overboard with that is because during his first campaign, if I remember correctly, Richard said that some people were getting their books and they were just mangled.
Yeah, mine got shipped in one of those regular cardboard envelopes, and it came up pretty good.
Yeah, some people. Yeah, but the thing was,
I'm just unfamiliar with the types of cardboard, so I can't help you out with it.
No, I get you. But they weren't supposed to be in those cheap cardboard mailers. They were supposed to be in Gemini mailers, and some places they weren't going out in those. So he got upset about that.
But I do know the larger the grain on the cardboard, the newer it is. The more processed and recycled the cardboard is, the finer the grain is. It's not as strong.
Yeah, but oh man, I forgot about this. We're
making a big deal out of that cardboard. I wanted to make sure you had all the information.
We got the
Or you know.
Jawbreakers poster. That's cool. That'll be.
Are you gonna put it up?
Yeah, I'll have to hang it up in the back here, man.
Do it. I want to see your butt.
I am not a piece of meat.
Eh,
Bend over, girly.
Okay, now see here. All right.
don't change
So-
your sign, Rob.
Here we go. So really cool.
Shake
nice,
that
nice,
ass, bitch, and
square
let me
bound.
see what you got.
nice square bound book. But look at the paper on the inside. This is the paper I'm talking about. See how
Okay.
like it does have some of that protective sheen on it, but it's not that high gloss paper.
Yeah.
So this is yeah. So if you feel it, unfortunately, obviously you can't feel it, but if you touch
Let
them,
me
you can
feel
feel the difference. Oh yeah, let me touch it.
That artwork looks way better than the first Jawbreaker.
Ooh.
Yeah, this is shots fired. This is is it Aaron Alfecci? Yeah, I really dig Aaron's art, man. Let me find a good page here so you can get a good look. It is dark because it's set at night. Let's see what we got here. We got Cthulhu monsters.
Ooh, there we go.
Got a good action page right there. Bang, 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 bang.
Stop jiggling it. Put it closer
Well, dude, how close you want me to get it, man?
so that I can see it.
Well, buy the book.
I don't want to.
There you go. But so
Okay,
we
done
got-
reading that page. Turn the page.
All right, and then I'll show another 2 pages out of this thing.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like I said, I like Aaron's art, and I wish I had a better camera. I am going to work on getting a better camera because this thing just is not cutting it. But yeah, man, I like getting these books, man. I like getting the stuff that we crowdfund. And like I said, and like in the future, you know, they I think they're all aware of you know these books gotta come out on time. They gotta get there. I think they're gonna take steps to make sure that happens. But yeah, thank you to Richard and Antonio and everybody that made those books, and keep making more, man. Anyway, yes. So that's it for me, guys. Anybody else got anything they want to touch on? John, you wanna throw your shield out there, brother?
Sure. My name is John Dillard, formerly known as Gaming the System. Now I'm known as Dillard Draws because that's primarily what I do now. I just draw. I'm working on this page. It's a bonus page for a book called Buckler the Descent, and this was a promotional additional ashcan that's going to go into Rick Piper's the Canadian Shield Volume 1. So I think that thing is still in demand. You can go and do that. But more importantly, just follow me on YouTube. I'll let you know all the information. Dillard Draws.
Sweet. Yep. Check out John's YouTube channel. Check out definitely check out the Canadian Buckler and John's book when it comes out. Todd, you got something you wanna push, brother?
No, just Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. We do the Pontificators. Outside of that, we should be launching Florida Man soon, but I'll keep you posted.
Cool. Let us know, man. Definitely want to take a look at that.
Alrighty.
All right. But yeah, definitely check out RT Bear's channel, The Pontificators. Todd and I are both on that. It's a lot of fun. We're on there with RT Bear, one of the big industry guys here from that in commentate, who's worked with everybody. Check us out here next week, guys. Same time, same bat time, same bat channel. And check out Chester Busby's channel. We're going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons on there in about 15 minutes. But also, guys, check out Jimmy Reyes's channel. He's a really great artist, great inker. He's had some really, really cool guests on there. Last week we had Kevin Sharp, who's doing Dragon Guard. Then on Saturday we had Rob Willis and Cal for Shinobi Sasquatch. Jimmy does live inking as we're talking to all those guys, and just checking out all that cool art and everything. And we're gonna have some really interesting people coming up in the future. The date has not been set yet, but one of those guys is going to be Dave Finch. So definitely go check it out. Jimmy's a great guy, and it's a lot of fun. So till next week, thanks guys for being here, guys. You all take care, and I will see you later.
See ya.
You're gonna